Hello and welcome to the Scaling Skills Master's degree. I am Terry Dockery. People call me Doc. I have a doctorate, which makes me Dr. Dockery. This is one of 12 presentations, the second one actually, based on the 12 chapters of my book, which is Leadership, Happiness, and Profit, 12 Steps to a High-Performance Business. This is class number 2, as I've said. I will For those of you who are not able to tune into this live event, I will post it on the edited video on my YouTube channel. So please hold your questions to the end, and if we have time at the end, we can talk more. Please feel free to contact me after the conversation we have today, and I'll be happy to talk at length. Okay, let's get rolling. So talking about me a little bit, Ph.D. in industrial organizational psychology. I had a weird family, made me want to study psychology. So paid my way through college selling men's clothes, made me want to, I like business, so seemed like a good fit for my career I've launched. I've been called one of the top business scaling up experts in the country. I'm a former Fortune 500 consultant who moved downstream to closely held businesses, mostly to get control of my work-life balance. We've doubled revenues and self-confidences and happiness regularly along the way. And I have deep expertise in family business, which is tricky when you start mixing love and money. Personal stuff, I've been happily in love. We just Cindy and I just celebrated our 41st wedding anniversary. Married the love of my life. We got 3 grown millennials, 3 cute grandchildren. I taught Shaquille O'Neal when he was at LSU. He's done real well. We played in a band while I was there that won the Lucille Award from B.B. King. Got to play with him at the Peabody Hotel in Memphis. That was a hoot. I still put the Harmon harmonica for bands. I'm playing right now in a Jimmy Buffett tribute band. And then one time I hitchhiked from Berkeley, California to Augusta, Georgia, just to let you know I've been around. So the goal of the master's degree is to give you the skills to scale up an organization while living a happy life. And this is class number 2, to learn powerful habits to leverage happiness for business success. Happiness is the most powerful force on the planet, or the search for it. So let's use it to our advantage for business success as well as personal happiness. Top 3 takeaways. We humans are pack animals. We need caring relationships with others to be happy and successful. If you do work you love at the intersection of passion, skill, and profit, you will have a great career and a great life. And creating a balance among wealth and the other 3 sources of happiness is really tricky and where it's at. It's a lot easier to be rich than it is to be happy. So think about, if you learn something today that spurs your imagination, think what changes you might make. If you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. There are 3 main components of scaling up in my consulting business. If you have the right business model or strategy, basically you're selling something that people will pay for. If you have the right team and then you have those people working well together, well, then you are golden. That's what I call leading indicators, or that the lagging indicator would be financial results. And people always want to talk about the lagging indicators, but in my work, I show people how to make the money. And then we always have plenty of people with deep financial expertise in the room to show them how to move it around. Of course, the general rule of thumb is to make more than you spend. So we've had good results with this approach. This is a picture of my book. We're still on chapter 1. There was a lot to cover, so I split it into 2 presentations. It's on Amazon. You can get that there. So I called them doctrines, since people call me Doc, but the Harness Happiness was chapter 1. And once again, the drive for happiness is so powerful, let's use it to our advantage. And here's the Harness Happiness success chain. If you're happy, you treat your employees well, they're happy. They treat your customers well, they're happy. And you will have a happy, sustainable business model and profits. The 4 main sources of happiness, according to positive psychology: a caring relationship with yourself, caring relationships with other people, work that you love doing, and enough money to pay your bills with some left over for having fun. We'll talk more about that later. And balance among those four sources is really the key to happiness. I'm defining happiness as feeling good now and being optimistic you're going to feel good in the future. So I call this the balance part. I call the principle of balance and justification because it makes a PB&J acronym. But most things you can underdo it, you can overdo it. Like with wealth, for instance, we'll talk about that later. The uber wealthy tend to be the least happy people in America because they spend too much time chasing money and not enough time on the other parts of happiness. So we'll talk about this often. Assertiveness, for instance, you can be too passive, you can be too aggressive, or you can be assertive and get your needs met, as well as build win-win relationships with other people. So let's talk about number one, caring relationship with yourself. You're with yourself 24/7. There's no escaping. Are you an encouraging, inspiring coach to yourself, or are you someone who criticizes and denigrates yourself to hold you back? As a leader, this is really important because you are the role model and for everybody in your organization, and you have all the power to model that. So it's important anyhow. It's even more important when you're a leader. Caring relationships with other people. We humans really are pack animals. It's ensured our survival for millennia. We stick together. We help each other out. It's a really powerful thing that we want to use to our advantage. People the loners, people who say they're loners. I mean, there are extroverts and introverts who prefer more or less time with other people, but a true loner is someone who's frightened of other people and being hurt, and that's not a good place to be. That lacks balance. Another model I like that I think is helpful is Maslow's need hierarchy. When you think about happiness and your emotional needs, down there at the bottom, if you're hungry or thirsty or tired, it's hard to think about anything else until you get those needs met. Just try having a fruitful discussion with your partner late at night when you're both tired, and you'll see what I mean. It's not a time to talk about finances or those higher order things up there like uh, achievement, recognition, security, predictability, any of that. So, something to keep in mind in terms of self care and that caring relationship with yourself. You take care of those basic needs first, take good care of your health, mental and physical, and then you can succeed in business, leadership, other endeavors. Uh, I think emotional intelligence is the most important skill you can ever have, which is knowing how to make yourself happy. I mean, what else matters if you're not happy? I know I've worked with lots of wealthy families. I know plenty of rich, unhappy people. I feel like you kind of miss the point if you wind up there. Uh, Business and life fulfillment, I think, are both about relationships, building win-win relationships. And unfortunately, guys, we men tend not to be as emotionally intelligent as women. We are told to be tough and detached from our feelings and so forth. Turns out that actually caring, being able to nurture other people is the best single predictor of leadership, and women are better at it. So we need to get on the stick. The model that I use to explain human motivation is really comes from way back. It's called transactional analysis, and it's really Freudian psychology put in layman's terms. If you look at this slide, the kid there at the bottom, say you're uh, a baby, you're just a feeling entity. You got wants and needs, and you get them met, and you're happy again. So you're hungry, you eat, you feel better. Let's say now you're 6 years old, you've grown up a bit. By this time, up at the top, the parent part of your personality is taking shape or has taken shape. You have to get along with everybody else in your family. That's the first culture that you're acculturated into. So the family has rules like we all eat together at 6 p.m. So now there's a potential problem because the needs of the kid or the wants may conflict with the rules of the parent. I'm hungry now. It's not 6 o'clock. What the heck? you start to develop the adult part of your personality, which is the thinking or logical uh, piece of your personality, which really becomes a referee between the needs of the kid and the rules of the parent. So if it's 5 o'clock and you're hungry, you're 6 years old, you go and you think, okay, I know I'm not supposed to get anything to eat before 6, but maybe if I go to mom and ask her for a healthy snack, or maybe if I sneak a cookie while she's not looking, or something to meet the needs of the kid while staying within the bounds or at least the sanctions of the parent. And the secret to all of this is the kid in us never grows up. Those needs and wants don't change. I mean, once you reach puberty, now you're interested in partners, but it's there. So uh, what the clever part of this is growing that adult. If you get in therapy, you plug into your adult and see if you can resolve some of those conflicts between the kid and the parent, and that makes you happier and more effective. And when I walk into a boardroom or looking at president and the vice presidents, I see a bunch of 6-year-old kids, and I try to figure out what their real wants and needs are, and that's how I can really help them. And there are really only two ways to change human behavior if you think about it. There's pain and there's pleasure. If you want somebody that you can, if you're the leader, you can sanction someone or dock their pay, whatever, or you can give them a pay incentive. Those are your two basic levers. Uh, and another thing to be aware of is that they're similar to me bias. We all seem to see the world a little bit differently because our early experiences are so powerful. So it's good to be aware of those differences. One of the inventories, there's 100 of these, but one of the ones I like to use is the Bolton Social Styles Inventory, and they just one of those 4 quadrant things where they plot task versus people or assertiveness versus uh, non-assertiveness. But you come up basically with 4 styles. The analytical style you can see is less assertive, more task oriented. The amiable style there on the bottom left is more ask oriented and people oriented. The driver style up in the top right is tell oriented and task oriented. Just get things done. Don't waste my time. And then the expressive style down there in the bottom right is kind of a hybrid. It's some that is people oriented but task oriented. And so that tends to be a charismatic, expressive kind of person that's maybe a little less direct than the driver. The reason I'm talking about this is that in creating relationships, these win-win relationships I'm talking about in your work, if you're in sales, you got to know this stuff so you can talk to somebody in the style that they prefer. Or if you're dealing with a subordinate, same thing. If you understand someone's language, you want to speak to them in their language, and you'll have a better chance of creating that relationship. Well, one thing I have always found interesting, those are the 4 styles we talked about, um, is that among CEOs, these styles are about equally distributed. It's just a matter of personal style. There's no, a lot of men want to be in that driver style because they think that's tough and it works better. Not necessarily. That's just a stylistic thing. There are other things that we'll talk about later on in the series that make you a successful leader, aside from certainly caring about your followers. But they're about evenly distributed among the styles. Another model I find helpful is to think about your emotional bank account. If there's a balance, you have an emotional balance, just like a bank account. If you have a lot of good things happening to you in life, you feel great, you literally feel rich. Life looks good, you're optimistic. If you have a lot of bad things happen even in a single day, or what I call withdrawals, emotional withdrawals. So you have a car wreck, you get a big bill you didn't expect, et cetera, have an argument with your partner. Now all of a sudden you've got your bank account's feeling overdrawn, and so you need to replenish it with some more positive experiences. Maybe I don't know, hot shower, your favorite beverage or whatever it is, relaxation, a nap, something that to get your bank account back in shape. The third source of happiness is work that you love doing. I do a lot of career counseling with young folks. And you're looking at the Venn diagram. To me, the ideal career is the intersection of passion, something that you love doing because you're going to do a whole lot of it, something that's your skill, something that you're good at or can become good at with some training in a pretty short order, or credentials, and then profit. Uh, for goodness sake, do something that people are willing to pay for. When people say follow your bliss or follow your passion, that overall is good advice as long as you can, uh, at least pay your bills. It's no fun to do what you love and starve to death, but that's the model that we use when we're talking to, especially to young people or people in a career transition. Um, so once again, passion provides the motivation for you to uh, do well in your career and all those obstacles you're inevitably going to have to overcome. Skills, same thing. If you're good at something, you're going to be more successful more quickly, or can get good at it. You'll be successful more quickly. And then, of course, like I said, people need to be able to or be willing to pay you some money for what you're doing to make that all make sense. And then enough money to be happy. Let's talk about money just a little bit more. This is from Charles Wright in the Watts 130th Street Band. It said, some people have everything and other people don't, but everything don't mean a thing if it ain't the thing you want. So knowing what you want, um, know yourself, know in terms of money. Like I said, the uber wealthy tend to be the least happy people in America because they're spending too much time on money and usually wind up destroying family relationships, health, what other things that makes life enjoyable. So once again, there's your uh, normal curve where you got, if you don't have enough money, that's stressful. If you spend too much time on money, that's not very happy. But people in the middle class who have enough but don't and of money to not have to worry about money tend to be the happiest in regard to wealth. Two ways to be wealthy. One is to make more money. The other is to need less money. I work with CEOs on scaling up. One time, I have one of my best success stories was a CEO who decided to scale down and is way happier. He said, "You know what? Maybe I don't need that third house. I'll just go simpler and more enjoyable, and I'll be happier." Work like a charm. So, how much is enough? Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in imbalance, like we talked about, or just feeling like you can never have enough to be safe. We don't have a huge social safety net in our country, so it's easy to start obsessing about how much money do I need to feel really safe. So it's something to be work with your financial planner and make sure you've got something that's realistic so you can relax. And then comparisonitis. There are always going to be people who have less and people who have more. It's really about what makes you happy, not what someone else has. Once again, top three takeaways. We're pack animals. We need each other. Do love that you work at the intersection of passion, skill, and profit as a leader. That is really important. And then create a balance among the sources of happiness. I mean, we'll get into later things that are important like leadership, where teamwork, where you create that caring among people, reduce conflict, etc. All the techniques that you can use to leverage these happiness drivers into stellar business success. Okay, so what's your dream? Think about how you can put these tools to work to achieve your dream. Okay, think about what changes you'll make. Uh, if you're happy with things just the way they are, no worries. But if you got an idea or two, think about what an action plan to make it come true. I'm happy to talk with you more. If you like, next month, we'll talk about be someone worth following. We'll talk about how to be a world-class leader. As the book, that'll be chapter 2. And then if you I will post a video of this presentation on my YouTube channel. If you want to connect, if we're not already, I've got a weekly newsletter. We got monthly half-hour expert speakers, and then these presentations as well. Also, while you got a minute, grade your team A through F on whether you have the right business model, A through F, right team, A through F, right teamwork, A through F, and you might get some insights about the levers you need to pull to take your team to the next level as a leader. Okay, if I can be helpful, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't be a stranger.